up, everyone? Welcome to From Chaos to Clarity Unleash Your Business Potential podcast. I'm your host, Sonja Jones of GIP Financials, or Mr. Miyagi of Money. And first of all, I want you to see, if you guys were not familiar with our acronym GIP, it means get in position. And so the shirt I have on is not a GIP shirt, but I was given the shirt by one of my besties, Miss Karen Booth, and her church, St. Mark Community Church. Had a get in position campaign last year. So I just thought it was fitting if I wore my shirt today. So make sure y'all see it. All right. But today we are talking about a topic actually that I received when I was getting my tire plugged a couple of days ago at the tire shop. And the cashier asked me a question. I thought this would be great content for today's episode. So I'm trying to think, by the time you guys get this episode, I don't know if I'm going to, title this, Am I Doing My Bookkeeper's Job, or Clarity of Roles? I don't know yet. I had to talk to my producer, Ray, about that. But for today, I just want you to know the topic is based on, am I doing my bookkeeper's job? Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the story from when I got my tire plugged. So I went down the street to get my tire plugged, and I said I was going to bring the business card in here. But if you're familiar with the Memphis area and the Raleigh community, right there on the intersection of Austin P and not Austin P, there's Stage and James, and where you get off the expressway, it's right on the corner right there. It's a Hispanic family, and they do great work. I forgot the name. I left my business card in the car, but they do great work. But anyway, the cashier, who I thought was in high school, but she was 23 years old. She looks amazingly beautiful and gorgeous. But she asked me a question about bookkeeping, because we were talking while I was getting my car repaired, with the tire repaired, and she asked me about what I did, and I told her that I was a bookkeeper. I gave her one of my cards, and then she was like, "Can I ask you a question?" I was like, "Sure." And so she was like, "I want to know if I'm doing my bookkeeper's job or not, because I feel like once I give him like all our papers and receipts and stuff, that he still, like, he wants me to organize them and sort them out and things like that." And so she was like, "I feel like I should just basically be able to just give him all the receipts and he should be fine with it." Right. And I'm saying he because that's who she referred to, is the guy. And so she asked me, am I doing my bookkeeper's job by organizing these receipts? And I was like, I'm going to probably err on the side of no. Because you guys have to understand, when it comes to the role of a bookkeeper, we are here not just for data entry, but also for analysis. And you got to think about it. We don't know the ins and outs of your business, meaning we don't know the vendors that you normally, we won't know that off the top, right? So saying, for example, every auto mechanic may not use the same tire supplier, that type of thing, right? So you can't assume those things. So it's very important for the CEO to be able to make sure that you organize your invoices based on vendor and what, the category for that particular expense, as well as for your income. And you have to think about it too, if your bookkeeper does what we call accounts receivable, where they're tracking, your customer sales and who owes you and things like that. Because you got to think about it, even like when we're talking about the deposits, right? Some invoices will be paid electronically, some will be paid by check, some will be paid in cash, right? And your bookkeeper will need to know, especially if you're getting paid in cash, who to assign those payments to, which customers to assign those payments to, right? So that's why I say that. But I got a whole lot of things. I got my notes right here organized. So I wanted to just kind of talk through some things regarding this particular question. Because, truth be told, we get this question a lot, not directly, but when we're talking to prospective clients in their discovery call, is pretty much, you know, us educating them on the roles of individuals. So, first things first, we always start with this: you should not engage in a tax preparer, a bookkeeper, or anybody for that matter, any service based business without a written contract. All right. And that contract should outline not just how much the payment is, but specifically what that service is going to provide for you, the task and or the deliverables, right? So when it comes to, our monthly bookkeeping services, we got in our engagement letter that we're going to categorize, we're going to reconcile, and we're going to issue reports, right? We have in there also what we're not going to do, right? And specifically, we have a clause in there about scope of work, right? So if you're a business owner, you need to make sure that you understand that term, scope of work, because that's basically the formal term for what are you going to do for me in exchange for my money, right? And the business owner should be able to explain that to you. So, say for example, for GIP Financials, if we're doing your bookkeeping for you, meaning that we're categorizing your transactions, we're reconciling your account, and we're issuing you the P&L balance sheet and cash flow statement every month, you might ask about applying for a grant. That's outside of our bookkeeping scope of work. If you want us to help you apply for a grant, right, that's going to be an additional cost, because that's a totally different service, i.e. scope of work, right? So that's what I mean. So you have to be crystal clear about what services or products your provider is offering to you. Two, do not assume. I hear this so much, that maybe somebody knew someone who worked for the IRS and now they're doing taxes. I assume that because they work for the IRS, they should know every tax law known to man. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Lord, no. Right? Another thing that you should be doing is asking, right? Especially if we're talking about, financials, your tax preparer or your bookkeeper, you need to ask them um, the types of clients that they serve, which industries do they serve. If you go back and go through my videos, I did a series on the four financial roles: the bookkeeper, the tax preparer, the tax planner, and the CPA. One of the things that I say about the CPA, especially for the CPA, is that not every CPA caters to small businesses. They may cater to, you know, um, physicians, right? They might do like private practice physicians and things like that. So you can't just assume that a CPA does, small business tax. And some may, work only with real estate, developers and things like this. So you got to ask. You cannot assume, y'all, just because they got letters behind their name, just because they're certified in a certain thing, you cannot assume that they'll work with you. All right. You got to be specific. You leaving your job to pursue full time entrepreneurship, and 30 days later, two large tree branches from your backyard tree hit your home, resulting in a 6-month renovation process. So, you know what? That happened to me, but I'm so glad that I was able to plan properly from that transition, that my family's lifestyle wasn't severely impacted. To my side hustle CEOs out there, if you are seriously thinking about full time entrepreneurship, I got 4 words for you. You need a plan. In my ebook, The Financial Freedom Roadmap, I'm walking you guys through my journey, giving you 5 tips on how to not only plan for your exit the financially smart way, but most importantly, it is not going to, I hope so, to reduce any major disruptions to your family's lifestyle. So if you're interested in that free ebook, click the link below. And I look forward to working with you, and I would love your feedback. Take care. Another thing about the assumptions, right? You also have to make sure that just because you hired a tax preparer or someone who does your taxes, you can't assume that they do bookkeeping. As well as you can't assume that bookkeepers prepare and file taxes, right? So you have to ask questions. I just recently had talked to a prospective client, and she was telling me that she owned a restaurant, and she was telling me about, the individual that she engaged with to do her taxes. And I think the person who was doing her taxes also like processed payroll and stuff like that. And after asking some more questions, I later discovered that one, there wasn't an operating agreement, and she assumed because this individual used to work for the IRS that he was supposed to know all of the uh, uh, tax cuts or tax deductions, that she was eligible for her business. Depending, like I said, depending on the industry and what that individual specializes in, possibly, right? So if the tax preparer was catering towards, like I said, real estate investors, right? And they prepare 1120s, like LLCs who take the S corporation, things like that, Schedule Cs and the like. I would think that if he were to know any tax laws, it would be the tax laws and the deductions to help, real estate investors, right? So again, like I said, hey, I don't know if y'all are aware, but the tax law, the IRS tax law is like, boom, I can't even stretch my hands all the way out. It's a lot. So you cannot assume that one person just has a mental Rolodex of all that. Right? Just saying. Okay. Um, so that's that. And again, one other thing that I want to mention too that she mentioned, she was upset because maybe she didn't get all of the necessary, I guess, refund that she felt like she should have gotten because of, like I said, tax credits and things like that. Again, some of that due diligence falls on the business owner as well. All right, so just be aware of that. So now that I've tilled the ground a little bit, so I want to talk about briefly the CEO's job, what your job is, and then the job, in this case, I'm just talking about the bookkeeper, right? So for the CEO, if you want to have a good, solid working relationship with your bookkeeper, one, you have to inform your bookkeeper of your income and your expenses and where to categorize them. Okay? So, say for example, if you give your bookkeeper a stack of Amazon receipts, what in the world are we supposed to do with that? You got to tell us, is it for supplies? Is it owner's draw because you accidentally did an Amazon purchase and it was personal, right? Is it for advertising? Maybe you bought some, signage or something like that from Amazon, right? We don't know that. And then when it comes to income, like I said, specifically cash, if it's normally for, checks, we can pretty much identify with that if the customer is already in the accounting system. But even in that, we'll need to know which invoice they're paying. And most of the time, the customer is good as far as if they're paying by check, they'll put it in the memo. But we can't assume, right? Otherwise, we're just going to apply it to, the bill that's outstanding or the oldest bill that's outstanding. But again, cash, we need to know if you got $800 in cash deposit, we need to know, was that for one customer or was there multiple customers giving you payments, right? And then also, when it comes to revenue, we need to know the type of income it is if you have multiple streams of income. All right, next, if you have any owner's contribution or owner's draw, meaning if you use any of your personal money input into the business, so say you got a bonus at your job, your 9 to 5, and you wanted to contribute that to your business, that's owner's contribution. Again, if you gave us that stack of Amazon receipts and you knew you purchased 12 bags of charcoal and it wasn't for, the company barbecue, that's owner's draw. So cut that out. All right. And then also informing the bookkeeper of any changes to your income and expenses, specifically with payroll and bill pay. So for example, with bill pay, if you got any prorated amounts in the bill, like say if it's a recurring expense and this particular bill is either more or less, we need to know why. Payroll, did you lose staff? Did you gain staff? Did you give out bonuses? We need to know that, right? So that's baseline your job, CEO, bookkeeper's job. Once you tell us all this, then our job is to organize the income and expenses, preferably digitally. Hopefully no bookkeepers out there still doing pen and paper. Via software. Like I said, we endorse QuickBooks. That's what we do. But we're going to organize the income and expenses based off of what you tell us, right? As bookkeepers, we are not obligated to assume and start putting stuff, in categories. You have to tell us where to put it, right? Of course, now we may ask some clarifying questions, but that's a different story, right? Next, once we get that information, we're going to categorize it accordingly, okay? And then after that, we're going to do the reporting. Now, when we pull our reports, now every bookkeeper may not be comfortable with doing, analysis. We are. We do it all day long. We're going to pull that P&L. We're going to pull that balance sheet. We're going to pull that cash flow statement. We're looking at to see if the numbers are off, if anything looks abnormally higher or lower than average. We're going to check in there. We're also going to check to see, comparing to year to date, year to last month or whatever, if we sense any cash flow issues or, forecasting some things, if we see some things that may be going awry, or maybe you might have some high fives, some glows. Well, I'm a teacher, so glows and grows, right? If you got anything that's doing well, we're going to do that. We're going to look at that too, right? So that's what we're here to do. You got to tell us, when you're giving us the receipts and the information, we got to know what it's for. And then we can go into the software and put it all in its respective place. That's why I said, if you hadn't seen my reel where I say, never ask the bookkeeper how your business is doing. That's not our job. That's your job. But you can ask us, is your business making a profit? Because we get that information in the software, which you also should have access to. If you're with GIP Financials, we give our clients access to their QuickBooks accounts. All right. So I hope that this video resonated with you in some way, shape, or form. You can always put comments below and, I'll take a look at those. But you can also share, like this episode, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope this helped you. And again, thank you so much for watching From Chaos to Clarity, Unleash Your Business Potential. I'm your host, Sonja Jones of GIP Financials with Mr. Miyagi of Money. And we will catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Thank y'all so much for listening to the From Chaos to Clarity, Unleash Your Business Potential podcast. Again, I'm Sonja Jones of GIP Financials. You're Mr. Miyagi of Money, but I got a couple of homework assignments for you before you leave this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and also leave a comment and let us know what your biggest takeaways were from this episode. And if you are looking for bookkeeping assistance or you need a money thought buddy, make sure that you go to our website, www.gipfinancials.com, and click on the schedule a consultation button at the top of our website, little green box. And you can schedule a discovery call and talk to one of our teammates to see if we're a good fit. All right. See you guys on the next episode. Take care.